Hello, BookTube. Welcome back to the History Shelf. I am Peg, your host, and for today's video, boy, I've been making a lot lately. It feels like I've been making a lot for me lately. I mean, that's a good thing. I guess I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. But, I have to say, there's so many sales going on right now across different places that I usually shop for books. And, I took a break for a little while from buying books, so kind of have fallen back a little bit as far as picking up a few here and there. But boy, one of my favorite Christian publishing distributors, christianbook.com, had a big sale, free shipping, and I haven't shopped there in a while. And I still had some stuff in a cart there, and noticed a couple of I noticed a set that I really wanted to have. And but anyway, this is a religious history book haul. Let's just call it that. I love all kinds of history. A couple of these are, well, they're pretty much all history that's related to Christianity or Jesus or Jewish. Let's see, history of the Jewish people and the time of Christ. So, I'm excited to show you what I got. The picture on the thumbnail, I'm not sure. I might use that one, but all the books were kind of shrink wrapped together, except for my set, which came separately, and I'll show you. It's a 5-volume set. You know what? I am going to fill this space behind me. This empty space is driving me nuts. Right above it is an American flag. I just don't know why. I used to have great courses, DVDs lined up there, and then we were trying to show the house, and we took down the racks for those, and now I have a big gaping hole, and I don't like it. But we'll see. In the coming month or so, you might see something there that will touch hearts, or touch mine at least. Anyway, okay, so I even have a list of what I paid for some of these. Some of these were on clearance, because I'm always looking for a deal. This won't be a long video, and you're probably like, thank goodness. But let me go ahead and pick up this package off the floor. Here we go. So you can see I did take off the plastic, but I need to get this rubber band off. Hang on. All right. Trashing my office room here. All right. What should I start with? We'll start with this tiny little thing. I think this was on the clearance rack here. Might have been $1.99. I'll put the link below to christianbook.com. I mean, it has tons of different stuff, you guys. Even if you're not a Christian or whatever, and you just enjoy reading theology or religious history of the church and stuff like that, I think you would enjoy it. This one. This one was like $5. It's a small little book, and this is Hudson Taylor's Spiritual Secret. Forward by George Verwer. This is a Moody Classics. So this is by Dr. and Mrs. Howard Taylor. Now this is in China. I think he was like one of the main missionaries to China. Yeah. Hudson Taylor's Spiritual Secret is the story of a man whose life was hidden with Christ. As Dr. and Mrs. Howard Taylor write, Hudson Taylor had many secrets, yet they were but one: the simple, profound secret of drawing for every need, temporal or spiritual, upon the fathomless wealth of Christ. Compelled to share the gospel with the unreached people of China, Hudson Taylor devoted his life to this purpose. Landing in China in 1854 and eventually founding China Inland Mission, now OMF International, Taylor lived his life in complete abandon of all things temporal and in utter dependence on God for his every need. So this looks fantastic. This will be very motivating and inspirational. So I'm looking forward to reading this. I had heard of Hudson Taylor. I just haven't read any of his writings or anything like that. But I saw it and I was like, let's go ahead and remedy that. So very, very cool, very interesting. That'll go on my religious history shelf. Oh, yes, and on this one I was so excited when I saw this. I'm like, I have to get this. I think this will interest a lot of you out there as well. This is a very interesting book. This is called Steal Away Home. Charles Spurgeon, Thomas Johnson, Unlikely Friends on the Passage to Freedom by Matt Carter and Aaron Ivey. This is put out by B&H Books. All right, yeah, let's read this. This is fascinating. All right. Let's see here. Thomas Johnson and Charles Spurgeon lived worlds apart. Johnson, an American slave born into captivity and longing for freedom. Spurgeon, an Englishman born into relative ease and comfort, but longing too for a freedom of his own. Their respective journeys led to an unlikely meeting and an even more unlikely friendship, forged by fate and mutual love for the mission of Christ. Steal Away Home is a new kind of book based on historical research, which tells a previously untold story set in the 1800s of the relationship between an African American missionary and one of the greatest preachers to ever live. Oh, that's so cool. Is there any, I don't think there's any pictures in here or painting, nothing. Okay. Of course, I've heard of Charles Spurgeon. I have a set of his sermons. But I have not heard of Thomas Johnson, and I love reading about stories about unlikely friendships. So I was very happy to find this. This was only $5, hardcover, brand new. So I can't pass that up. Oh, beautiful. You know, over the years, like over the past 10 to 15 years, I keep adding a book or a version of this book. There's so many different editions, whether it's abridged or unabridged, or sections of it are printed, but not all of it. And I just have never pulled the trigger on it. But I really need to have this as part of my my Christian history library. Well, in this case, just in general, just for all my studies on Judeo-Christian history, I need to have this author. And who could it be? Well, this is the works of Josephus, complete and unabridged, translated by William Whiston. So it looked like a very beautiful edition that I haven't seen before. It's put out by Hendricks and Publishers. And I wanted it in one volume, nice, sturdy hardcover. Kind of, the type is small, but, and it's like set in 4 columns across 2 pages. You can see that. But I'm okay with that. Now, this would take a long time to read. We got book 6, from the death of Eli to the death of Saul. I mean, this is all stuff that I eat up as a Christian, and I love reading about, the history of Old Testament times and New Testament, and so this is fantastic. I'll just read this to you. Oh, and if in case you're wondering how much I dropped on this, it was only $14.99. And they had others in this series. Did I buy one of those? No. But they had Eusebius and Philo, I believe. And so, I might pick those up as well. But I think I have a nice folio society edition of the Church History by Eusebius, so I'm not sure if I need that one. It says here, the best and most complete 1-volume edition of the classic translation by William Whiston. The writings of Josephus, the first-century Jewish historian, are indispensable to a proper understanding of Jewish thought, background, and history up to and around the time of Christ. Here's what makes this 1-volume edition the best available. It says here, more readable. This edition has been retypeset in modern, easy-to-read type, which it has. It's still small, but sometimes you see these books that are just straight up Xerox copy of some antiquated edition with very faint type. I think I have an edition of that paperback version of, is it Heinrich Heine? And it is almost illegible, and I'm like, oh, crap. Anyway, and then this one said also it's easier to use. The Loeb numbering system, now the standard way to cite Josephus, has been added to make it easier to locate passages referred to in other reference works. Also, all citations and Cross-references have been updated from Roman numerals to the modern form of citation, and Greek words occurring in the text have been transliterated. Thank goodness. I can't read Greek. And then it says it's more complete. The complete text and notes of the 4-volume set are included. So other 1-volume editions of Josephus only include abridged notes. So also the indexes in this edition have been thoroughly corrected and expanded. Oh, it also gives a description about the coin on the front. I wonder if Jason Harrigan would recognize this. It says on the back here, Judea Capta. That's translated as Captive Judea. One of a series of Roman coins struck by the Flavian emperors following the downfall of Judea to commemorate the Roman victory. The coin depicts a woman with her hands tied, seated under a palm tree, symbolizing captive Judea. Sorry for the glare. There you go. Wow. Okay, so what's that? What is that? We got some smudges here, but not a big deal. So yeah, I can see what they're saying. There's I like the fact that the notes from the 4-volume set are all in here. The notes are even in smaller type, as you can see here. But I love it. I just love reading ancient writings. It's just a different. You just don't read stuff like that anymore. You know what I'm saying? How cool. I'm going to want to start reading it right now. In the next book, this is a very odd size. It's very wide. I saw not a podcast, but a YouTube video or interview with this guy off of David Wood's channel. Acts 17 Apologetics or something. I do follow his channel. I do like David Wood. And he was interviewing this man, and I was like, I've never heard. He's like an ex-cop. And he was using this very interesting, I don't know. He had a PowerPoint display he was showing, and I was like, well, this is interesting. So you know what? It was on christianbook.com, and I thought I'd check it out. Now, this is very illustrated. Look, I don't need to be convinced of anything when it comes to my faith, but sometimes I like to read these books that are currently out to see how people are trying to, the apologetics, trying to explain the reason for Christ and why people, should believe in Christ. And so it's good every now and then to dip back into the stream to see how people are framing their arguments. And this one is very quite different. But anyway, sorry, I'm leaving you hanging. This is J. Warner Wallace's Person of Interest. Why Jesus Still Matters in a World That Rejects the Bible. It's put out by Zondervan. I'm sure many of you have heard of Zondervan. It's a major Christian publisher. Anyway, the reason, like I said, the reason why I got this is because I watched a YouTube interview with this man talking about his book, and he's written a couple of others before it, but I was intrigued. So let me read this to you real quick. It's not a huge description. All right, let me just go in. In person of interest. Okay, well, let me start with the tagline, which is supposed to get you. Can the truth about Jesus be uncovered, even without a body or a crime scene? In Person of Interest, detective and best-selling author J. Warner Wallace investigates Jesus, the most significant person in history, using an innovative and unique approach he employs to solve real missing person murder cases. Okay, so that's the angle, that's the hook, as far as what makes this one different. Wallace carefully sifts through the evidence from history alone without relying on the New Testament, and they italicize that part. Okay, so this could be interesting. You'll understand like never before how Jesus changed the world. It's got tons of blurbs. So he's approaching this as a missing person murder case. So this is intriguing. I'm going to check it out. This, and it's he kind of uses a lot of graphics. There's a lot of illustrations. Very cool. Anyway, I'm intrigued, and you can see it's a very interesting. It looks almost like a workbook, but it's very wide. But anyway, I picked this one up as well. 15 minutes, not doing too shabby. Okay, so this book was so cheap. I was just like, look, I'm gonna add this to my Martin Luther collection of books. It's a $1.99. It's a small little thing. This is Luther versus Pope Leo, A Conversation in Purgatory by Paul R. Hinlicky. Okay, look at how slim that is. And this is put out by Abingdon Publishers. Never heard of them. So, a small little thing. Let's check this out. The Seeds for a New Reformation in an Afterlife Conversation. Martin Luther and Pope Leo X awake in the afterlife. It is 2017, and they have been asleep since the posting of the 95 Theses in 1517, the imagined execution of Luther, and the death of Leo in a strange accident. This is interesting. To their mutual chagrin, not only does each discover the other face to face in heaven, and that's in quotes, heaven, but they learn that by divine decree they are roomed together indefinitely. The Pope's first reaction to the news is that this is his purgatory for the sins of the Medicis. Luther despairs that he is in hell. Quote, quote, it was works after all. Unquote, he surmises. It was works after all. Oh, shoot. Sorry. Discussing the key issues that divided Catholics and Protestants and birthed a Reformation 500 years ago, Hinlicky creates an imaginary reconciliation in heaven between Martin Luther and Pope Leo X, who worked through the controversies that divided them in their historical encounter. They even get a little help from John Wesley. In this book, Luther and Leo become the creative instruments of a renewed commitment to Protestant Catholic ecumenical reconciliation, as signaled by the joint declaration on the doctrine of justification by the Lutheran World Federation and the Catholic Church. Okay. Who is Paul Hinlicky? He is the Tides Professor of Lutheran Studies at Roanoke College in Salem, Virginia, and an authority on Martin Luther's theology and how it has played out since the time of the Reformation. Hinlicky is committed to ecumenical and interfaith dialogue while reintegrating Reformation and patristic theology. He's also an ordained minister in the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America and has served congregations in New York and Virginia. So that kind of sounds fun. I like some of these these imagined dialogues, you know. It was works after all. Can you imagine? Oh. Oh, look at this. So, okay, let me just read something to you real quick since we're doing pretty well on time here. I just kind of turned to this page. It looks like they're realizing they're in a room together, and that there's a table between Leo and Martin with a document on it. So Leo looks at it, lays back down in his bed, and rolls back over. Then Luther picks up the document and begins to read it out loud, as was his custom when reading Latin. And so here's the letter that is supposedly on the table between them. Christian brothers Leo and Martin, welcome to the antechamber of heaven. Here you must prepare yourselves to enter the holy presence of God, spotless and blameless in his sight. This work in you now is the Spirit's merciful work for you, so that you may shine without stain in the radiance of God's glory when you are permitted to pass from this place. For as all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, each in his own particular way must be fashioned anew into the new creation. Leo, you have without justice pronounced your brother in Christ a heretic and condemned him to a painful and unjust death. Martin, you have without justice pronounced your brother in Christ an antichrist and damned him as if you were the last judge over him. You are both in the wrong. You cannot pass into the presence of the holy God from this place of preparation until you reconcile these wrongs. You cannot... Oh, I already read that. This work of reconciliation is your purgatory. You cannot bribe your way out of this purgatory, not even by pleading the precious blood of Christ, let alone the merits of the saints. It is your own final salvation from sin that is at stake in this work. God grants you the Holy Spirit to bring his work in you to completion. As I, Peter, once quarreled with my brother in Christ, Paul, at Antioch, but reconciled with him at last in Nero's Colosseum, so you must now reconcile. I will be watching over you. If you have trouble in your assignment, the Spirit who ever hovers over you will send a helper. Adieu, until I greet you face to face. This is going to be a fun little read. I can read the humor in it already, but that's going to be very enjoyable. All right, so then I got 2 books by the same author. They just sound, they appeal to me in that I kind of wanted to read, well, the other one was like an afterthought. I'm like, I'll get the smaller book as well. Let's see, how much were these? They weren't too much. All right, so this one was this one was like $14.99, but it's a beautiful hardcover, naked hardcover. It's a new updated edition. And I looked at a sample of I was reading a sample of it online, and I love commentaries, and I love people interpreting the work and writing it from a historical standpoint as well. So anyway, I picked up this big bad boy here. This is The Life and Times of Jesus the Messiah, complete and unabridged in 1 volume by Alfred Edersheim. It's a new updated edition, as you can see. It's by Hendrickson Publishers. Naked dust jacket, or naked hardcover. It's very beautiful. I had never heard of Alfred Edersheim, but apparently he is very well known. So this is what kind of pulled me into picking this up. It's like, I guess, as an early Christmas gift to myself. One of the best known and most important references on the life of Christ ever written, Alfred Edersheim's The Life and Times of Jesus the Messiah is a storehouse of information on the background of the New Testament. And that's, I think, what pulled me in. I love reading about the historical context of Jesus' time and when the New Testament documents were written. This classic work successfully portrays the streets, the marketplaces, the religious conflicts, the people, and the places of Jesus' earthly ministry. So, yes, that just, as soon as I read that description and then I read a sample, I was like, this is for me. This needs to be on my shelf. And I'd like to start reading this as soon as I have some deadlines, but once they're done early next week, and as we're moving closer to Christmas, I'm going to start reading this one. So this is interesting. Edersheim divides his work into 5 sections, or books. Book 1, The Preparation for the Gospel. This includes introductory historical, religious, political, and cultural material based on the author's extensive knowledge of Jewish lore and customs. Book 2, From Bethlehem to Jordan, the background of Herod and his reign, St. John the Baptist and his message, and the birth and baptism of Jesus. Book 3, From Jordan to the Mount of Transfiguration, it's 37 chapters, and they explore the miracles and teachings of Jesus' earthly ministry. Book 4, The Descent into the Valley of Humiliation, a history of the latter part of Jesus' ministry from the Transfiguration to the journey to Jerusalem. Book 5, The Cross and the Crown, is a chronicle of each day of Passion Week from Palm Sunday to the Resurrection. And of course, the appendices have background material on Jewish history, tradition, and law. So who is Alfred Edersheim? I will tell you. He was born in 1825 and died in 1889. So the writing's going to be dated, but I'm betting that it might be very beautiful as well. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. And he was born in Vienna to Jewish parents and was converted to Christianity as a young man under the influence of a Scottish Presbyterian chaplain while studying in England. He also studied theology at Edinburgh, and every time I see that word, I hear Martine. I got to get it right. Edinburgh. At Edinburgh and Berlin. He was one of the leading authorities of his time regarding the doctrines and practices of Judaism in the centuries preceding and during the early Christian era. Oh, is this the... Hang on a second. Nope. Okay, so this is interesting. We'll get to that in a second. Because my set has something to do with Jewish history during this time. Anywho, so a nice big chunkster. It's going to, this would take a couple years to read. It's pretty dense, you know. But at least there's not like 4 columns, it's just a regular kind of print size. And oh, I love that sound. You guys like that sound? All right. So I picked that up, and then I noticed there was another book, smaller, much smaller, but I've always been intrigued ever since I took a Bible study class and we were studying the temple, and just the importance of the temple and to the Jewish people and the covenants and all that kind of stuff. And so Alfred Edersheim has a separate little book on on the temple, its ministry and services. Again, an updated edition, nice naked hardcover. Going to look really great next to this one. Same type of, sorry for the glare. So yeah, we've got a book on Jesus the Messiah, and then he goes into the temple. So let me read this to you. It says here, this updated edition has been newly typeset, again in an easy-to-read modern typeface. It contains citations from scripture, rabbinic sources, and the works of Philo and Josephus to enhance the reader's understanding of the temple, its sacrifices, ministry, personnel, and services. These materials complement Edersheim's discussion, clarify difficult passages, and illumine the reader as to the true spiritual meaning of the temple and its services. This edition brings a wealth of information together in the margins, providing a unique entree into the primary sources, or entree, of the ancient world. Jerusalem, the temple, priests, and worshippers all come alive through Edersheim's prose, as well as through the more than 75 illustrations, charts, photos, and drawings. Enhanced both aesthetically and practically, this edition of the temple has no rival. Wow. I like that. They're bold. They're confident that this is the version of Edersheim's The Temple to have. It says here, Edersheim's deep devotion to the authority of the scriptures, his ability to make the scriptures come alive in their ancient context, and his encyclopedic familiarity with ancient Jewish sources all enrich this classic and timeless work. Again, so it's a smaller volume. And this one's also from Hendricks and Publishers, obviously. Oh, this is fantastic. Yeah, I can see what they're saying about the margins. And then the notes at the bottom. Here's a preface with already the annotation. Sorry. I'm trying to get this right for you guys. Oh, this is fantastic. I might read this one first, actually. Oh, very cool. Yeah, I love learning about my faith and where it stemmed from and the practices. And, and this was I'm a Christian, but this, obviously Christ was a Jew and he knew all about the law and the sacrifice and the law of Moses and the prophets. And so, this is where it springs from. Oh, this is fantastic, guys. And this book was only $9.99. So for $10, I got that, and it was free shipping. Okay, so those are like the standalone books that I picked up. And then I know, and this was like definitely towards the end of the shopping spree of such, Oh, sorry. That I know I noticed this set of books, and they sell lots of sets. Like I always shop in the academic category at christianbook.com. This is where I found all of these. I'm only interested in the academic section of that place. I'm not into like not self-help, but like Christian living, and I just want I want really heady stuff, and history related things. Um, so, yeah, that's where I found all these. In case you're interested, you got to go under the academic category. And the academic category, they sell multiple sets of history, commentaries, sermons, whatever you can think of. Well, this is a 5-volume set, and it was on sale for $28. 5 volumes. So this was shipped separately, but look at this. Let me see if I can do this without dropping them because they're kind of slippery. Okay. Oh, it's a history of the Jewish people in the time of Jesus Christ. Okay, and it's by, let me get this volume 1 here. The last name is Scheurer, Emil Scheurer. And the subtitle is Being a Second and Revised Edition of a Manual of the History of New Testament Times. This volume number 1 is First Division, Political History of Palestine from BC 175 to AD 135. These are translated by Reverend John McPherson. Again, Hendrickson Publishers put it out. Emil Scheurer. So, I don't have the obviously description, but it's kind of, again, not this one definitely has the old, this is not modern typeface, and there's a lot of Greek words in here, and that's okay. This is just a straight up kind of reprint, facsimile of that. So all right, but it was $28 for 5 of these, and for the 5-volume set. So the first one is First Division, what I've just described to you. And the second volume is First Division as well. And this one covers, well, I guess that's the same thing. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They're all the, wait, okay, so volume 1 and 2 cover BC 175 to 135. And then second division in volume 3 is the internal condition of Palestine and of the Jewish people in the time of Jesus Christ. Okay. Oh, I see what's happening here. Okay, sorry. They come, okay, so it's a 5-volume set, so it's not volumes 1 through 5. It's volume 1 and 2 of the First Division, covering that section of years I just told you about. BC 175 to AD 135. So two volumes cover that period. And then then it goes into Second Division, and it's just talking about, is this the Second Division as well? Yeah, volume 2, Second Division, same condition, or the internal condition of Palestine and of the Jewish people. And then there is a volume 3 of the Second Division as well, so that's just encompasses a lot. Same topic. And I think, so Second Division, volume 3, very interesting. It covers the Palestinian Jewish literature and then the Greco-Jewish literature. Very cool. Ooh, this one. You can just get lost in this stuff. It's fabulous. Now, Emil Scheurer, I don't know much about him, and I don't have a bio here, but, and I guess these are all translated by different folks, but in any event, I have a wonderful reference work that will buttress and support and kind of overlap in different ways with the works of Josephus, which I've just shown, as well as Alfred Edersheim's work. So we have this wonderful naked hardcover of Josephus, Life and Times of Jesus the Messiah of Alfred Edersheim. And then we jump back into like temple history. So we kind of have a lot covered here. We've got the Jewish history in the time of Jesus Christ. We've got a temple study, a whimsical imagining of what Martin Luther and Pope Leo would be saying to each other in purgatory. although Martin Luther thinks it might be hell. And then A Person of Interest, which might be just a very light kind of fun read to see how he comes at apologetics from an ex-cop's approach to solving a missing person's murder case. Oh, and then can't forget these guys over here. A Story of an Unlikely Friendship between Charles Spurgeon and Thomas Johnson in England, and I'm really looking forward to that. And a little book on Hudson Taylor, kind of just, I might look for another, like a straight up biography on Hudson Taylor. I know I have a few books on Christianity in China, but I don't think I have a straight up biography on Hudson Taylor. If any of you guys know of one that is particular favorite of yours, or you're just aware of it, please comment below. Please comment below by any of these books. I like to know what you read and what inspires you, and I hope you found this video edifying in either historical sense or religious, inspirational. If you're a Christian, that you found some of these titles something you might want to pick up, or even if you're not, it's always great to just read widely, and I've always encouraged that. So, well, okay, so I'm really doing well with keeping these at around 30 minutes. That is my religious history book haul, and I have, of course, more to show you. I think one of my next videos will be, I had a request from someone wanting to know more about, or wanting to see more used books and where I picked them up, and because they can't, necessarily afford new books all the time, or even higher end bargain books are a little too much. So I've got a bunch of used books I bought off Thrift Books and or Amazon third party that I want to show you, and they're very varied. They kind of come from all over the place, but I think you might enjoy them. So that's a video coming pretty soon. I've got a couple more book hauls for you. Let me know if you're interested in seeing the periodical mail that I am bombarded with every day. As you can see, look at these magazines. I need to work through these magazines. I have so much to read. I need to clone myself. But having said that, it's a good problem to have, as long as it doesn't become too paralyzing. You know what I'm saying? But so far, so good. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate your patronage as far as just watching, and subscribing and liking. I couldn't do it without you, BookTube. It's been over 2 years since I started my channel, and I'm pretty happy with it. So I hope you are too. Let me know what you'd like to see. I've had some requests for book recommendations. I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you guys yet in the comment section. I will. It's been pretty hectic at work, just trying to work ahead as people are about to take off pretty much the last 2 weeks of the year. So, work's been busy, and in addition to that, just dealing with stuff at home, and I'm a book reviewer. I'm an active book reviewer, and I've got lots of different deadlines, which I all enjoy. I'm not complaining at all. But just know that I see these things, and I'm like, yes, I can recommend some books for you. But I just need a minute to kind of look through my shelves and remember things that I've read and write them down and get back to you guys. But I plan on doing that. So always feel free to leave a comment. If you want to send me an email, my email is listed under the About tab, under the business email address. If you have something you want to discuss personally regarding history or a book recommendation, or I plan on offering more books to send out on this channel because I'm getting so many, and I already have a couple of little stacks put together for folks. Right now I'm just going to pay out of pocket to ship things for you guys, but let's see if I can pass along some things to you guys now and then. Okay, so having said all that, I hope you guys are having a great day, and we'll talk to you soon here on the History Shelf. Take care.